Eternal Wars, Rome and Germania. A saga of conflict, resistance, and legacy. The wars between Rome and Germania were not simply a clash of swords. They were a battle of civilizations, ideologies, and identities. For centuries, the dense forests of Germania and the disciplined legions of Rome were locked in an endless cycle of conflict and uneasy coexistence. This story traces the arc of these wars, from their beginnings to their far-reaching consequences, through the eyes of those who lived, fought, and endured. Chapter 1: The First Encounter. Caesar's Gaze Across the Rhine. In 55 BCE, Julius Caesar stood on the western bank of the Rhine River, the symbolic boundary between the Roman world and the wild lands of Germania. The river separated two vastly different civilizations: Rome, with its cities and roads, and Germania, a land of forests and fiercely independent tribes. Caesar's first encounter with the Germanic tribes came during his conquest of Gaul. The Suebi, led by King Ariovistus, had crossed the Rhine, claiming territory in Gaul. Caesar saw this as a challenge to Roman authority and marched against them. At the Battle of Vosges, Caesar's disciplined legions defeated the Suebi, forcing them back across the Rhine. But the Rhine was not an impenetrable barrier. It was a challenge. To demonstrate Rome's power, Caesar ordered his engineers to construct a massive wooden bridge, allowing his legions to march briefly into Germania. "Let them know," Caesar declared, "that Rome's reach is limitless." Chapter 2: The Rise of Arminius. A trusted ally turns. Decades later, in 9 CE, the Roman Empire believed it had pacified Germania. Publius Quinctilius Varus, the governor of the region, enforced Roman law and collected taxes, treating the tribes as subjects of the empire. Among the Germanic leaders was Arminius, a chieftain of the Cherusci who had served in the Roman auxiliaries. He had learned Roman tactics, spoken Latin, and fought alongside the legions. To Varus, Arminius was a loyal ally, but Arminius saw the Roman presence as a threat to his people's freedom. Secretly, he began uniting the tribes, planning to strike at the heart of Roman power. The ambush at Teutoburg Forest. In the autumn of 9 CE, Varus led 3 legions deep into Germania. Arminius, pretending to warn Varus of a rebellion, lured the Romans into the dense, labyrinthine Teutoburg Forest. Over 3 days, the tribes attacked, using the forest's natural defenses to devastate the Roman columns. When the dust settled, the 17, 18, and 19 legions were annihilated. Varus took his own life, and the eagle standards of the legions were captured, a humiliation for Rome. In Rome, the news caused panic. Emperor Augustus reportedly cried out, "Quinctilius Varus, give me back my legions." Chapter 3: Vengeance and Retaliation. Germanicus strikes back. Rome could not leave such a defeat unavenged. In 14 CE, Germanicus, the adopted son of Emperor Tiberius, launched a series of campaigns to punish the Germanic tribes. His legions burned villages, slaughtered warriors, and recovered 2 of the lost eagle standards. At the Battle of Idistavizo, Germanicus defeated Arminius in open battle, but Arminius escaped. The tribes remained fragmented, and Germania's forests continued to shield its people from conquest. Germanicus was recalled to Rome, and Emperor Tiberius declared that the Rhine would remain the empire's northern frontier. "Let the barbarians keep their wilderness," he said. Germania Magna, the land beyond the Rhine, would never become a Roman province. Chapter 4: The Long Frontier Wars. A perpetual state of conflict. The Rhine frontier became a border of constant tension. For centuries, the Germanic tribes launched raids into Roman territory, while Rome conducted retaliatory campaigns to deter them. The Roman strategy shifted to defense. Along the Rhine and Danube rivers, they built the Limes Germanicus, a series of forts, watchtowers, and walls that became one of the most heavily fortified borders in the ancient world. The Marcomannic Wars, 166 to 180 CE. During the reign of Marcus Aurelius, the Germanic tribes launched a massive invasion of Roman territory, known as the Marcomannic Wars. The tribes reached northern Italy, threatening the very heart of the empire. Marcus Aurelius personally led his legions to repel the invaders. Though Rome achieved several victories, the wars drained the empire's resources and marked the beginning of intensified pressure along the northern frontiers. Chapter 5: The Migration Period. The floodgates open. By the 4th century CE, the pressure on the Roman frontiers intensified as the Huns swept into Europe, displacing Germanic tribes like the Goths, Vandals, and Franks. These tribes sought refuge within Roman territory, often clashing with Roman forces and local populations. The Gothic Wars. In 378 CE, the Visigoths, led by Fritigern, faced Roman forces at the Battle of Adrianople. The Roman army, led by Emperor Valens, was decisively defeated. Adrianople was a turning point, demonstrating the vulnerability of the Roman military. The sack of Rome, 410 CE. In 410 CE, Alaric, king of the Visigoths, sacked Rome, a symbolic moment that marked the decline of the Western Roman Empire. Though the Eastern Roman Empire endured, the Western Empire crumbled under the weight of constant invasions. Chapter 6: The Legacy of Conflict. A new world emerges. By the 5th century CE, Germanic tribes had established kingdoms within the former Roman Empire. The Franks ruled Gaul, the Visigoths governed Hispania, and the Ostrogoths controlled Italy. These kingdoms adopted Roman traditions, including Christianity, law, and governance, blending them with their own tribal customs. The Rhine as a symbol. The Rhine River, once a boundary of conquest, became a cultural and political divide between the Romanized West and the Germanic East. Yet it also became a bridge for trade, ideas, and cultural exchange. Epilogue: Eternal Wars, Enduring Legacies. The wars between Rome and Germania were not just military conflicts. They were transformative encounters between two worlds. Rome, with its disciplined legions and ambition for dominance, met the fierce independence and resilience of the Germanic tribes. Though Rome failed to conquer Germania, the interactions between these civilizations shaped the future of Europe. Chapter 7: The Germanic Kingdoms and Rome's Legacy. The Rise of the Franks. Among the most influential Germanic tribes were the Franks, who established dominance over Gaul after the fall of Rome. Under King Clovis, the Franks converted to Christianity, adopting Roman laws and customs. This fusion of Roman and Germanic traditions became the foundation of the medieval European order. Charlemagne and the Revival of Rome, 800 C. Charlemagne, a Frankish king, sought to revive the glory of Rome by uniting much of Western Europe under his rule. Crowned Emperor of the Romans by the Pope, Charlemagne symbolized the blending of Roman administrative systems with Germanic warrior traditions. Cultural synthesis. Roman legal codes, Christian theology, and architectural styles merged with Germanic governance and social structures, creating a hybrid civilization. Other Germanic kingdoms. The Ostrogoths ruled Italy, the Visigoths governed Hispania, and the Vandals established a naval power in North Africa. Though these kingdoms were often short-lived, their rulers embraced many aspects of Roman culture, including its infrastructure, coinage, and urban organization. Chapter 8: The Legacy of the Rhine. A perpetual frontier. The Rhine River, a focal point of the Roman-Germanic Wars, retained its significance long after the fall of Rome. For centuries, it was both a boundary and a bridge between cultures. The Rhine in the Middle Ages. During the medieval period, the Rhine became a major trade route, connecting the emerging economies of Western Europe. Towns and cities along the river, such as Cologne and Mainz, grew into cultural and economic hubs. A line of division. The Rhine also marked the divide between Romance-speaking and Germanic-speaking regions, a legacy of Rome's influence west of the river and Germania's independence to the east. Chapter 9: The Myth of Germania. Arminius as a national hero. Centuries after the Roman-Germanic Wars, Arminius, known as Hermann in German, became a symbol of German unity and resistance. His victory at the Teutoburg Forest was celebrated during the 19th century, as German nationalists sought to forge a unified identity. The Hermannsdenkmal, a colossal statue of Arminius, was erected in the Teutoburg Forest in the late 19th century, commemorating his role as a liberator. Historical debates. While Arminius is often romanticized, Historians have noted the fragmented and tribal nature of Germania during his time. His unity of the tribes was temporary, and his later assassination by rival chieftains underscores the divisions within Germania. The cultural memory of Rome. For centuries, Rome's presence in Germania was both vilified and admired. The Germanic tribes resisted Roman rule, yet their successors adopted many Roman ideals, from governance to religion. The memory of Rome became a paradoxical inheritance, both an oppressor to resist and a model to emulate. Chapter 10. Lessons from Eternal Wars. The Roman-Germanic Wars offer enduring lessons about conflict, culture, and resilience. 1. The limits of power. Rome's failure to conquer Germania demonstrated the limitations of even the most powerful empires. Geographic, cultural, and logistical challenges proved insurmountable, showing that military might alone cannot achieve lasting control. 2. The strength of identity. The Germanic tribes' fierce independence preserved their cultural identity, even as they interacted with Rome. This resilience ensured that, despite Rome's influence, Germania retained its distinct character. 3. The power of integration. Though the wars were defined by conflict, the eventual blending of Roman and Germanic traditions created a new European civilization. The Roman-Germanic synthesis laid the foundation for the feudal, cultural, and religious systems of medieval Europe. 4. The duality of borders. The Rhine and Danube frontiers were not just lines of division, they were zones of exchange. Trade, ideas, and cultural influences flowed across these boundaries, shaping both Roman and Germanic societies. Chapter 11. Eternal Conflicts in Memory. The Roman-Germanic Wars remain a powerful narrative in both ancient and modern history. From their depiction in Roman annals to their role in European nationalism, these wars have been remembered, reinterpreted, and mythologized. Modern interpretations. In the 19th and 20th centuries, historians and nationalists used the Roman-Germanic Wars to frame broader ideological conflicts. 19th-century German nationalism. The wars were invoked as a symbol of German resistance to foreign domination, particularly during the unification of Germany in 1871. World War II propaganda. The Nazis exploited the legacy of the Roman-Germanic Wars, framing Germania as a land of unyielding strength and purity. Reclaiming the narrative. In recent decades, historians have focused on the nuanced interactions between Rome and Germania, emphasizing the cultural exchanges and shared legacies rather than the dichotomy of conqueror and resistor. Epilogue. A shared legacy. The Roman-Germanic Wars may have ended centuries ago, but their legacy endures. They were more than battles. They were a crucible of cultural exchange, a test of resilience, and a shaping force for the continent that would become Europe. Rome's legacy. The roads, laws, and institutions established by Rome influenced the governance of Germanic kingdoms and the development of medieval Europe. Germania's resilience. The tribes' independence ensured that their traditions, languages, and identities survived, influencing the cultural fabric of Europe.